So, with the ongoing news about the Jimmy Butler situation, talking about how he doesn't want to be in Miami and where he wants to go and where he will not go, there's been a lot of questions. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the best destinations for Jimmy Butler. So first things first, the things I want to talk about is the teams that Jimmy Butler will not be going to. Those teams consist of the Lakers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Golden State Warriors. I just think out of the teams that have been rumored to get him, these three teams just don't necessarily make sense. Milwaukee, they already have Chris Middleton and they need more floor spacing, so bringing in someone like Jimmy Butler wouldn't necessarily help, plus he doesn't want to go there. The Lakers, we just have to give up our whole roster to somehow end up with him, and I don't even know if the money works out. And last, Jimmy Butler on the Golden State Warriors doesn't necessarily work out. The Golden State Warriors are going to have to give up a lot of assets with Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga, Kyler Anderson, and a bunch of other players just to make the salary fit. So I don't think it's in their best interest to go after someone like Jimmy Butler when they could go after somebody else and still retain some players. Now with that being established, let's get into the teams that I think should trade for Jimmy Butler. But for disclaimer, the Jimmy Butler situation is a very sensitive situation. First things first, Miami, they have a very interesting contract situation with all their players, so they can't really take in that much cap. The second thing is Jimmy Butler is making, I believe, $48 million a year. He has a very hefty contract. And the way his contract's set up, if he doesn't want to play for your team after this year, he can leave. So it makes it a very interesting situation because why would I trade for him to possibly be a rental for this team? That's the risk and everything that you have to take into account when you're making these Jimmy Butler trades. But with that being said, the first team that I think should be in the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes is the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies have been a team for the past few years where they just make it to the playoffs, but they can't necessarily get over the hump or take that next step to go deeper in the playoffs. And I think getting someone on this team like Jimmy Butler will elevate them to that next level. The Memphis Grizzlies have been looking for a rock that they can put at the small forward position, someone who's going to be there and stay long-term who fits with the team. And I believe Jimmy Butler fits that to a T, to be honest. The only thing that really affects it is his shooting ability, but I think he shoots feasible enough to have him in this position. Plus, they have the big contracts to properly give out pieces, but not give too many pieces that would hinder their team, such as Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, and not to mention that the Memphis Grizzlies have picks that they can include in the trade. Now, the next team I want to talk about is I feel like a team that nobody has mentioned, the San Antonio Spurs. I believe Jimmy joining the San Antonio Spurs will build a great culture for Victor and his future. Jimmy Butler is the type of player that you would want around Victor, someone who's going to push him and make him work harder and become the best he can be. And also, Jimmy, he's at that later part of his life, so he doesn't need to necessarily be the number one. And I think Jimmy's willing to retain and become the number two to someone like Victor Wembanyama. And with the low market of Jimmy Butler, I believe that you can get him for pretty much a steal. You can give up someone like Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, and probably a few second-round picks, maybe a first-round pick, and you have Jimmy Butler on your squad. Not to mention, one of the reasons why Jimmy Butler might stay on your team is because he is from Texas. He's not from San Antonio, but he's from Houston, but he's not that far away. So it might seem more enticing to, come back home. Now, the last team I want to talk about is, I believe, the best situation for Jimmy Butler, and that's the one that we all want to see. We want to see Jimmy Butler go to the Phoenix Suns. And I'm not going to lie to you, the Phoenix Suns just make too much sense with how the salaries will match up and they could do a one-for-one trade with Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal and just get this over with. Or the fact that this helps out the Suns actually be championship contenders, because I believe this is their last dance. If they don't get it done this year, this whole experiment is done. It's over. Because they do not have a future because they had to give up so much for Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal alongside KD and Booker. It's just too redundant. They don't fit. But Jimmy Butler is someone who KD's been rumored to want on the team, and he's going to help everybody's work ethic, and he fits way better. It's just too perfect. But those are my thoughts on the Jimmy Butler situation. Let me know if you guys have any mock trades that you would rather see Jimmy Butler go to, or if you think that the destinations I named are iffy, or if you actually like the destinations. Let me know, guys. Like and subscribe. See y'all next time, and thank God.